Hi everyone, Diana Rankin here with your weekly Psychic Soul messages and a prediction or two, we'll see. Anyway, welcome everyone. If you're new to our community, we're so glad to have you here. We love new people coming in, and we're so grateful for those of you who come back every week. Thank you so much. This is the 36th week of the year 2019. This is for September 1st to the 7th, and can you believe it's September already? My goodness, up here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're kind of shaking our heads. Where did all the time go? Summer's just gone zip, zip, zip. And for my friends in Florida, this weekend, please stay safe. And for my friends in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we're holding you in safety too, and keep visualizing our world surrounded by love and surrounded by the divine light. It is so necessary to continue that. It's not going to get easier for a while, my friends. I'm sorry to tell you that. The world is in turmoil. We're not going to deny that, but we do not need to live our lives in turmoil, and we're going to talk more about that. I did tell you last week that if you have a question, I'm asking you to make it a more general question. I can't really answer individual questions about your life specifically on this video. However, if we are Facebook friends, you may already know this. If not, or if you're active on Facebook, please friend me. I am going to start doing, I'm going to have to learn how, but I am going to do a live video on Facebook, and when I do that, I'm going to answer personal questions that have a general nature to others that we can all learn from one person's answer. But for YouTube, it has to be a bit more general because we're not having the dialogue. So we have 3 questions that have come in, and I think we have an answer for all 3. We've talked to Philip about them, and later at the end we will get Philip's message from one of my books, The Master's Book of Answers by Philip, which is an oracle book. It just has different wisdoms on each page. This week I'm not going to give you a specific process for joy, but one of the questions that came in is, how do we stay in love and peace? And this has 52 processes that will help you do that. But also Philip addresses that later when in our talk with Philip. So he's going to address that, and so we're not going to go into that specifically. But one of the questions was, how do we stay in love and peace in this kind of world that we're living in, where the energy is so difficult? The other question that's pretty easy to answer is, how do we get to know our spirit guides? Well, a couple of ways. One, I have a video on YouTube, that 5 ways to get to know your spirit guide. I will post the link below here in the not in the comments, but in that little area where I can post things. So I will post the link to that. If for some reason that link doesn't work, just go to YouTube, put in my name and put in spirit guide, and it should come up. I also want to tell you, I do a 3-day very intensive workshop, Awakening to Your Deeper Intuition. And the next one coming up may be in the spring. I'm not sure. I've been asked to do one in the spring here in Ohio, which you're welcome to travel to. If not, yes, I do travel. A few months ago, earlier this spring, I was up in Wisconsin doing that workshop. So yes, I do travel. If you're interested and want to find out how to get me to where you are, just give me a call. My phone number is below. It's also on my website. And you can also email, but I get 100 or so emails a day. So it's probably better just to pick up the phone and call. Now, the last question is a little bit longer, and this is the question. We talked to Philip about all 3 of these, except for not to know our spirit guides. We didn't talk to him about that because I think the video is kind of self-explanatory. And also the Awakening workshop. It's very intense, but we have a great time going through it. but we're going to talk about how to stay in love and peace. And we're also going to talk about, the question came up, and it was a long question, but I believe it boiled down to, we're living in a world where evil does exist. Now, I don't think of people as evil. I think of wounded people committing evil acts. When we're wounded, we wound others. And so those of us who have worked to heal, and those of us who are working to heal, we're able to then create a pathway to help those who need to heal. And yes, we do need to help each other. So with this particular question, the person was asking, and thank you for asking, and please do, whether you write me on Twitter or Facebook or Messenger or email me, bring those questions and we'll ask Philip. We're happy to do that. Anyway, this was, the person was saying, what about some psychics are saying, oh, stay in joy and love, and others are admitting there's a darkness in the world, and then how do you combat, how can you stay in joy when there's, versus combating the darkness? Anyway, I think I'm not getting the question exactly as it was stated, but I think the answer will be here. Shall we? I'm just going to read you what Philip gave me this morning. I just wrote, Philip, this may clear it up a little bit too. Philip, we have questions from our viewers. Thank you for answering them. The first question is, how do we stay in love and peace? And the second question concerns, why do some psychics talk about staying in love and peace while ignoring the darkness? And the third question is how to reach you, which we've already talked about, or their own spirit guide. So the questions do all seem related. And I highly recommend working with the guide, only because, you'll hear me talk about working with the communicator, so you're not working with 30 million different voices coming at you. Probably wouldn't be that many, but just so you don't have several voices coming at you, but just get to know the head guide, the head communicator. And that video will help you do that. And you may have some questions about the video, so let me know what they are. So, Philip, let's address the first question of, my question is really about the differences in this world and spirit world, and doesn't that make those differences, and don't those differences require concrete action to counter the darkness, not just say happy clappy light? All right, Philip, what say you? As you read this information, several questions arose, and we will address all of the issues because they are related. Let us begin with why different seers, and then in parentheses, psychics as your world calls them, and parentheses, speak from different tongues. So Philip calls a psychic a seer, but for the rest of the time he does call us psychics. There are those who raise alarms, and there are those who speak of love, and everything in between. Those who are psychic may live in joy or ascribe to it. The same is true of those who warn of the darkness. Is there not both night and day in your world? In other words, psychics are humans who have a sensitivity to be able to experience the energy. How that energy is interpreted depends on the psychic's human experience and their role in this life. Is the sole mission to warn of a darkness or to teach of the light? All have a role. Human experience is a gift, but few humans appreciate the gift. Humans seek the joy while forgetting they know joy only because they have known the shadow. If you thirst not for water, why would you drink? And yet the human body requires water. The same is true of light and darkness. The human craves the light when in darkness, but when the light is too bright, the human will seek the darkness. Shadow and light merely play with one another. The experience of the human life is to recognize all are both shadow and light. It is a dance. It is not to ignore the full dance. The question is, how does one experience the dance? In joy and love, in peace, in anger and fear, in confusion, in hate. The dance of the human experience is experienced from all perspectives within one lifetime and over all life experiences. As one evolves, as one begins to recognize that life is a dance, an adventure, a gift, or if one prefers, a school, then that human welcomes all experiences in order to understand all experiences. Okay, let me reread that. Then that human welcomes all experiences in order to understand all experiences, to understand life. As one evolves, as one begins to recognize that life is a dance, an adventure, a gift, or if one prefers, a school, then that human welcomes all experiences in order to understand all experiences, to understand life. How can you serve a healer? How can you serve as a healer if you've never experienced the need to be healed? We grow in empathy for the other's pain only because we have experienced pain. The memory of the pain we have experienced stays through many life experiences, even though what caused that pain fades, as does the remembering that before we felt pain, we caused it. When we cause pain, we do so out of ignorance. We simply forget the human life experience is an adventure, a dance, if you will. How that adventure is danced is up to each individual. As the human has more experiences and life incarnations, one will begin to know the balance, the play of light and dark. This knowledge of the play of light and dark becomes an understanding of one's role in each incarnation. As understanding increases, the choice for love will grow stronger. As the choice for love grows stronger, there will be less tolerance for darkness, for even in the darkness there shall be light. Those who do not yet have the ability to see through the darkness must be held by those who see the light. This is done not through anger, but through love. Your world does not understand love. It is seen as a word with no action. Many are waking up, though, even as we speak. You have seen those who have spoken of love through the ages. These are the masters. They walk among you, their words filled with energy to inspire. Meet fear with compassion, anger with a peaceful heart, violence with nonviolent resistance. Not with nonviolent resistance. Meet violence with nonviolent resistance. Hate with love. To speak out in anger against anger only produces more anger. To be fearful of those who live in fear only produces more fear. To meet violence with violence only creates more violence. To match hate with more hate only makes the world more hateful. The understanding of love comes as the desire to understand is cultivated, and each degree of understanding is put into practice. Patience must be called for. Each step taken, however small, is a step toward creating peace and joy. As each person increases love in their experience, they increase the world's experience. You ask, how does one increase peace and joy in their lives? By simply making the choice for love again and again and again. Simply ask yourself, what am I choosing in this moment? What is my choice adding to my life? What is my choice adding to the world? Is my choice adding that which I wish to add to my private world and the greater world, or am I adding that which I do not wish to add? This is not to say to ignore the darkness, but to be aware of how you respond to it. Let us remember you all play a role, but your dance may not be the dance of the one beside you. And then I say, thank you, Philip. And Philip responds, thank you, dear one. It's a beautiful day. And I respond, yes. Or I say, it's a beautiful day. And Philip responds, yes, we experience that through you. I respond, I'm glad. Philip responds, as are you. And then I heard. And the whole world smiles. Yes. As we smile, our spirit guides smile. Those in spirit world smile through us. Let's see what other wisdom Philip has for us today. As we just think left page or right page, because each page has a different wisdom. And even though I always read both pages, one page is our message. So everybody ready? You're thinking left page or right page? As we just flip through the book and we'll just there's where our finger's going to stop. I'm actually hearing, it's kind of hard. I'm hearing both right now. So I have to concentrate for a moment because I may be hearing what you're telling me. But what I am hearing basically is the right page, but I'm going to read both pages. So the right page says, Beethoven was without hearing, and yet he heard the music. Imagine that. Beethoven, a great composer, he didn't have hearing, and yet he heard the music. Beethoven was without hearing, and yet he heard the music. That says to me that we can live in this world of energy that is so destructive right now. We can see the pain of others, but we can still hear the music. And if we can hear the music, we can then bring that music to others. Left side says, even free rent cost. Even free rent cost. Well, my friends, this says to me, you know what? We have to work for what we want. We have to, it doesn't come easy. And we probably appreciate joy more because we do have to work for it. Constantly asking ourselves, what is it I'm choosing to experience right now? What is it I want to add to the world? I don't want to ignore what's going on in our world today. That's not my role. But my role is not to get angry about it, or when I do, to return to that peace, that place of love. Not to go out and yell and scream at others who feel differently than I do, but to certainly hold strong my boundaries and tell them stop. And then return to love or stay in love. When we tell someone to stop, let's do it with the power of love. I've told you over and over, do I always practice what I preach, so to speak? Do I always walk my talk? Oh gosh, no. I wish I did. But I get angry. I get upset. I go to bed wanting to just cry myself to sleep over some of the horrific things that are happening in our world. And then I stop and I say, what is this adding to my life? And what is this adding to the world? I love you, my friends. Let's add love to our world. That doesn't mean we don't hold the other's feet to the fire. It doesn't mean we don't hold others responsible in our personal lives and in the greater life. We do, but let's do it with love. Daisy and the kitties and I love you. We're all doing well. Daisy saw the tripod come out and she said, I want out of here. So she's out resting on one of her other beds. We love you. Thank you so much. For those of you who sent prayers and healing energy to Daisy, she is doing much better. She was having trouble getting up and down off the wooden floors. You've healed her, and I thank you. Thank you. Yeah, a little help with some medicine too, but that's all right. Just a little extra nutrition. Until next week, stay in love. And remember, love is a verb. Put it into action through kindness.